this is going to be an interesting episode because we're going to take a little bit of a break from our standard kind of Q&A format where we answer questions that patients ask us on a day-to-day basis or things that people have emailed into us. And we're just going to talk a little bit about our practice today. So I'm going to let Dr. Zweig actually ask the question that will get us kickstarted on this journey of discovery today.
So my first question is for you, Dr. Kasper. We are curious why you started New York Hearing Doctors. What was your reasoning for starting your wonderful practice you have today?
Wow, that's a really interesting question. It's kind of deep, but I think there's a simple answer to that, really. So I've practiced for now, it's close to 23 years, I think. And I have practiced in pretty much every environment that you can imagine, from large academic medical center settings. I was in a large ear, nose, and throat practice as a director of audiology. And look, I gained amazing experience in all of those places. And I feel that the primary reason why I wanted to do something in private practice was twofold primarily. One was because I wanted to create an experience that I had a little bit more control over, specifically as it relates to patient care. So again, by nature of the beast, in something like a large medical center or even a large ear, nose, and throat practice, you have limited time with patients. And sometimes you wish that you had a little bit more time to kind of be more of a guide for patients, provide more information, walk them through difficult scenarios, help them understand their condition more. And I felt that by creating something such as what we have with our private practice, it would afford us that time to be more flexible, to give patients the time that they really deserved. Most of us feel when we go into a doctor's office rushed. I never wanted anybody to feel that way when they came into our practice. So that's one of the core reasons, was because I wanted the experience to be one that if I was going to a doctor or an audiologist, that's the experience that I would have wanted to have as well. So that's one reason. The second reason, and it kind of relates, is the fact that I feel like I'm creative in nature, and I feel that in certain larger environments, I didn't have the ability to, let's say, if I saw something that I wanted to do, I wanted to be able to create something quickly. I didn't want to have to wait for that vision to be realized in the real world. So when we're in a private practice like what we have and what we've developed, is we have the ability, if we see something that we say, wow, we could do this so much better, or this is a really interesting component of practice that would benefit patients and it would help differentiate our practice and provide us with a better way of doing things, I wanted to be able to do it immediately without having to wait for some sort of approval, funding, whatever it might be. So those two reasons, I think. One, I wanted to provide a patient experience that I would have wanted for my family members and for myself. And second, I wanted to be able to create it quickly and to be able to maneuver and be creative in terms of the types of services that we can offer patients. So I'm not sure if that answers your question. I think it does. But I think that on a day-to-day basis, that's kind of what we do, right?
Yeah. I'd say that's probably, Dr. Naim and myself both started as residents with you. And I think what makes us such a good team is that we all have the same vision. And that vision that you created is something that we came in and said, that's our vision also. And when we want to start something, we want to be in a place that's flexible enough to allow us to do that. And when we have a creative idea, how do we then implement that? That's not something that I think, or at least I could say, I was able to do in other settings. And it wasn't anything against where I was. It just wasn't set up for that. A large, like you mentioned, ENT practice or hospital setting, or the VA system, they have different purposes. And I think that our purpose was to kind of come together and create something that we all had a vision for and kind of put it together like pieces to a puzzle. And I think that's what makes us a good team.
Yeah.
I think actually, just before you start, Dr. Naim, I think that's a really important thing that you articulated that I didn't, is that in certain environments, although it's just the nature of what it was, there's those limitations, right? And I think what we've done successfully, and what I tried to do from the beginning, is remove as many limitations as possible, because ultimately we wanted to develop something that was unlike any other place. So the limitation part of it, I think, is a key word that you used there. I'm sorry, Dr. Naim, you said something that you're about to say.
No, I was just going to kind of expand on what both of you said. I think one of the number one things that I love about New York hearing doctors is that we're all just working together to find ways to not only improve our patient experience, but just to come up with new ways, think outside the box in our field. And it's not just one person saying like, okay, this is what's going to happen. It's we're all brainstorming together constantly to come up with those ideas. And I think that, like you said, with the flexibility of not only spending more time with our patients allows for us to put those ideas into practice, but also it's the wide range of things that we can offer our patients. Like on that point of an ENT practice, they're very heavily, and again, not nothing bad, it's just they're heavily focused on diagnostic testing, whereas we can offer treatment options and just learn about our patients and just put that all into practice.
So here's my question for you. Do you have an example of something that maybe we've implemented over the past maybe year to 2 years or so that you think it was amazing that it actually came to fruition within the period of time that it did? So maybe there's an example of a new service or technology or whatever it might be.
Yes. Well, I would say something that was a big vision for us that came to fruition, which was pretty impressive, was the balance center that we created. I think that took a lot of time and brainstorming and risk and equipment, that's for sure, and knowledge. And we had to kind of, go back to school in a way and relearn what we knew in the past and how to implement that in today's field in private practice. And then it was all about a practice that never or has done it in the past but hasn't done it in a long time, and then having to grow that, which took a lot of time, energy, and definitely teamwork from all of us to kind of make that happen. So that, I think, is one of our very impressive assets.
Definitely. But I would also say over the past year, especially, not only did we bring like the balance testing, but I think the fact that we're starting to work with cochlear implants and other implantable devices like the ear lens and the Baha, I think that's something that will help cater to a wider population. And again, it's not we're not just focusing on one thing. We're thinking outside of the box, and we're able to kind of connect to more people and work with more people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that, when people take a look at historically the audiology practice, most audiology practices, for the most part, are hearing aid dispensaries.
Mm-hmm.
And while that's something that we've done since the beginning of time, that's not necessarily the only thing we've ever done. And that's definitely not what we have become over time, over the past 12 plus years. I appreciate the fact that you brought up the balance component of that. And I think that, from a perspective of what's offered in a private practice, there's very few practices in the country that do what we do from a balance assessment perspective. And that continues to grow on a day-to-day basis. And as you said, that came together very, very quickly over the past, few years or so. And now, especially when it comes to the implantable devices, not many practices are involved in cochlear implants or Baha, which is the bone anchored hearing aid, which we talked about in previous episodes. And the ear lens, which is something that we are the only private audiology practice in New York City that's doing that right now. And I think that it's amazing that we were able to get that together so quickly. And ultimately, it's for the benefit of the patient, right? And I think that that's really our collective goal, is to provide a service and a one-stop shop for anybody who is looking for hearing or balance related services to go to one place.
Yeah.
And if we can't help them, we have a whole network of professionals who work around us, from neurology to ENT to cardiology, physical therapy, which is amazing, visual therapists. Yeah, so I think that that's an awesome asset that we've built for ourselves and for our patients as well. So, any other questions today, guys? Do you want to talk about anything else?
We have some videos to do. We can't give it all in one.
Well, this was definitely interesting. It's kind of a peek behind the curtain of the way that we think about our practice. And I know that, as people get to know you guys more and to get to know our practice more, they'll get to see the variety of things that we offer, and ultimately, why we do what we do, which is not just about building a business. It truly is about patients being first. So I thank you guys for all the work that you guys do on a day-to-day. I cannot wait until we're all back in the office, actually providing these services in face-to-face contact with our patients. Until then, we'll do everything as virtually as much possible virtually. And we encourage any of you guys, I'm just going to pop this up on the bottom. Future questions, you can always send to us at info@newyorkhearingdoctors.com, info@newyorkhearingdoctors.com. Again, just want to thank Dr. Zweig and Dr. Naim for all of their work and for sticking it out during these crazy times when we're stuck in our homes. So it's good to see you guys again.
You too.
All right, we'll catch up soon. Take care, guys.
Bye.